everybody, it's Wednesday and we're going to be moving on now today to look at some adjectives and adverbs to really start to develop our shape poems that we're going to be doing. So as we've been learning about farm animals and our topics on farming, I'd like you to do a shape poem on farm animals. Now, I do appreciate that some children aren't as engaged in this, and so if you would like to do a different animal, that is absolutely fine, as long as you do follow the setup as what I'm suggesting with the farm animals, you do the same for that specific animal. So first of all, I'd like you to think about what animals live on a farm. So just have a think, 30 seconds, what animals live on a farm? So were these the ones that you came up with, or did you think of are there some animals on this picture that you haven't thought of? Maybe you haven't thought about a goat or a turkey or a goose or horses. So here's some other animals that you might have thought of, and my favourite's the big, the fluffy Highland cow in the middle. Okay, so we're going to be looking at adjectives today. So we've done lots of adjectives before, so this shouldn't be new learning. An adjective is a word that describes a noun which is a person, place or thing. So for example, the delicate kite. The word delicate is the adjective because it's describing the kite. It's not simply just saying the kite was flying, it says the delicate kite. So it gives you a little bit more of a picture about what the kite looks like. You might also want to use what we call some expanded noun phrases. I know we've talked about this at school previously. So this is where you use at least two adjectives. So instead of just saying the delicate kite, you could say the colourful delicate kite. So it just gives you that little bit more detail. And don't forget to put a comma between your two adjectives to split them apart. So I'd like you now, you can set it up however you like. I've given you the example of using a spider diagram, and I'd like you now to list, to write the names of the farm animals in the middle of the spider diagram, and then to describe the animals. So you might need to pull up some pictures on the internet to help you, or to have a real think about what these animals look like. So for example, I've used some adjectives. I've actually put some expanded noun phrases in because I've used two adjectives before describing a part on the animal. So for example, cows, I've picked out the most key features that cows have. So things like their hooves, their horns, their tongue, their tails. And then what I've done is I have given some expanded noun phrases, some adjectives to actually describe these features. So I've used large, heavy hooves, sharp, pointy horns, long, rough tongue, and long, swishy tail. Now, one thing that I would like you to see doing as well is to use exciting adjectives. Don't just put big hooves, because I know that you can get a lot more exciting adjectives than that. So I'd like you for the next couple of minutes to have a go at writing down different farm animals and writing some different adjectives or expanded noun phrases to describe that part on an animal that you'd like to describe. So if you pause the video now, and if you can have a go, I would say probably do maybe three animals. You can always do plenty more. It's completely up to you. But I would say to do maybe 3 animals. That'll probably give you lots of detail there. Okay, now a bit of fun. I would like you now to think about the different animals that you've thought about that live on a farm, or alternatively if you're doing a different animal. And I want you to think about how would an animal move. So I want you to put yourself into that position of an animal. So I want you to think about if you were that type of animal. So for example, if you were a pig, how would you move if you were a pig? Would you do it delicately? Would it be quite clumsy? Would you be quite heavy-footed? Would you be energetic? Would you be lazy? So what I'd like you to do now, I'd like you to pause the video, and I want to see you moving around like an animal. So I want you to go through the list of these animals, or come up with your own animals that you've already discussed on the previous activity. And I want you to move around there like you would different animals. And I want you to see the difference between what maybe a cow might do to what a chicken might do. Think about how they would move, and don't just move around. I want you to think about, well, how would they do it? How could I describe this movement? If you'd love to put some videos on Seesaw, I'd love to see them. I'm sure they'll be great. Okay, so now you've had a go are moving around like these type of animals, you're going to now look at using some adverbs. So an adverb we've used before is a word that describes a verb. So it describes how you're doing something. So for example, the kite flies gracefully. Now one thing that you'll remember is that most adverbs end in ly. Now these have been, you've had some of these for your spellings over the year. We've done lots in class, lots of different ideas that we've shared as well. So what I'd now like you to do is thinking about how you've moved and how the animals move, you're going to be using the adverbs to help describe. So adding to yours spider diagram, or however you've set it out, I've just used to continue to show you the spider diagram, as for me I find that easiest. So I'd like you now to tell me how they move. So thinking about so if you moved like a cow, how did you move like a cow? Were you stomping heavily? So see if you can get some adverbs in there. You might have been standing proudly, laying lazily. Your tail might have been swishing purposefully. So I'd like you now to go and add those extra words to give me your verb, so what you were doing as that animal. So as a cow, they might be standing, and then an adverb to describe how they would be standing. So for example, I put proudly. So have a pause of the video now, go and add these to your descriptions for the different animals that you have been doing, and then once you've done that, you can come back to the video. Okay, so now you've obviously done all that work. Now we're going to start to put it all together to put it into some sentences. So using the adjectives, the adverbs, the expanded noun phrases, the features, the nouns, you're going to now put this into a sentence. So I've given you an example here. Standing proudly in the centre of the large overgrown field, the dairy cow uses his long, rough tongue to help eat the succulent, delicious grass. So you can see that from my spider diagram, I've used the words standing proudly. I've also used the idea of long, rough tongue, but I've just added that extra little bit of detail to really pull it all into a sentence and really add that description so that my reader can see, instead of just saying the cow stands in the middle of the field eating grass. It's a little bit more detailed so that you can really picture my cow eating grass, delicious grass in the middle of the field. So I'd like you to have a go at doing this now. Obviously, come up with as many sentences as you can. I'd like to see probably about 6 or 7 really powerful sentences. Obviously, the more you do, the better your writing and the easier your writing will be when we pull it all together at the end. But I'd love to see your super sentences. So if you want to put them on Seesaw, I'd love to see them. Okay, have a fantastic time.